All right, let's get right to it, everyone. Let's talk to somebody who is on the ground in Benue State and has a handle on this development. Professor Yakubu Ochefu is the President General Ochetoha Kidoma, Benue State. Hopefully I pronounced that quite well. The good thing is he's taking our time to speak to us about these issues this morning. Prof, we'd like to say thank you so very much for taking our time to want to help us find some insights on this issue this morning. My colleague, Jomai Manson, and I will spend the next few minutes having this conversation with you. First of all, talk to our viewers about what exactly we're dealing with, because all people are saying, all they are hearing is about the number of persons who have been killed by this what the government has come to refer to as some non-Nigerians who are coming from different parts of the sub-region, all right, to commit this mayhem. But just help us find sense in all of this.
Yeah, thank you very much, and good morning, viewers, wherever you are in the world. It's important that we contextualize the crisis from a deep historical standpoint, from the political imperatives that have come to bear over time and space, and from the lack of trust amongst our political elites in closing ranks to deal with this matter that has been around for a pretty long time. I don't want to bore you with a very long historical background to where all this came from, because when you go deep into history, you'll find out that the roots of what we are seeing now was, or the seeds of what we are seeing now was planted nearly 200 years ago. We don't want to go that far back. We just want to go into recent history and how it has manifested. And this dates back to the current democratic space that started in 1999. So, yes, relationship between farmers and herders has always been there. Bad blood has always been there, and there has always been attempts to find out how to accommodate these relationships. But in the last 20 years, a combination of the land grabbing, mineral exploitation, and political interests from across Nigeria and across the world have all cumulated into the type of crisis that we are seeing in Benue State, in Niger States, in Kaduna States, in Zamfara States, and in parts of Taraba States. And that's why I said, if we don't contextualize all this and see how it is playing out, we're not going to get to the roots of it. And depending on the decisive role where the leadership, the political elites, or the ruling elite come together and close ranks and says, we don't want to have this type of problem in our location, you see it either escalating or reducing, as the case may be. So that is the context in which I want us to understand how we got to where we are now as far as the crisis is concerned.
Right, Professor Yakubu, thank you once again for joining us on the program Global Morning. For some, we interviewed the Commissioner for Information yesterday, and he said something vital, that most of these killings that we hear of coming from Benue State is blown out of proportion. How true is it when we have visuals to prove otherwise?
I mean, the visuals tell the story. I have been to the front line myself. I've gone and sat with the widows who explained to me firsthand how their husbands were massacred, how their children were killed, and how they barely escaped with their lives. So the numbers are not escalated at all. I have been in a situation. I was a vice chancellor of a university in Taraba State in 2013 when communal crisis arose. And it was alarming to see how numbers were being played out. Those of us who are on the ground see these figures, and then we read reports from journalists who never came to the scene, or government agencies who want to mask the figures, saying a totally different thing. So the figures that are being branded out by government are clearly not true, because on ground, with the visuals that you have talked about, the numbers are very clear.
About the security agencies that are there in Benue State, how well are they trying to curb this particular situation on the ground? Are they doing their best, or what is actually going on? What do you see since you're on ground? Talk a bit about the security agencies there a bit. Let's know.
Yeah, the security agencies are actually doing their best, but the terrain in which they have to operate and the resources with which they have to operate it is a challenge. We spoke with some of the councillors in Apa local government, and they said that because of the poor state of the roads, help will take at least 2-3 hours to come from when the first responders make their call. On motorcycle, it will take that long. If you are going with a vehicle, it will take even longer. And I mean, in a crisis situation, 30 minutes is enough to cause mayhem. And if response does not come within a very short period of time, it's a problem. So there's a nexus between the infrastructure, the rural infrastructure, and some of the security challenges which they face. And so if the rural roads are not there, there are no bridges, there are no covers in the rainy season, no matter how quick you want to respond, you cannot do so. So that provides a challenge for the security agencies when they want to respond. Once they are called to the situation, they cannot get there as quickly as they can. Of course, we have to add the fact that the resources that are available to them vis-a-vis what the ordinances that are being brought into battle by these combatants is also another thing that we need to discuss as well.
So, Professor Yakubu, I want to put you on the spot a bit now. You know, yesterday we hosted Senator Abamoro on the program Global Television, and he said something. He said the governor, no other than Hyacinth Alia, he doesn't want to work with anyone when it comes to this particular issue on ground. It's like he's, in his own words, folding his arms. How true is that statement? Has the governor come out to be empathetic or try his best to actually curb this menace in Benue State at the moment?
The governor, as the chief secretary of the state, necessarily has to take the bulk of the blame. Just like President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is taking the bulk of the blame. And his actions and inactions will definitely be interpreted by the people who are on ground. For example, the young people who were protesting in Makurdi were saying the speed at which security agencies were called out to stop them from protesting, if that same speed had been applied to Yelawata, where the last crisis took place, they will have been impressed. So there's that nexus between the actions of a chief security officer and the speed and capacity with which he responds to crisis. So I think it is in that context that Senator Abamoro is faulting our governor. And indeed, a lot of people on ground are saying that the response rates, official response rates, is not impressive at all. And so something needs to be done about that.
Just to maybe disabuse some people's minds about maybe speculations and all of that. There are those who believe that the governor is, if you like, worsening the problem. For example, the governor has said repeatedly that there are politicians in Abuja who are feeling the crisis, if we were to use that word, down there in Benue State. The same governor has said this week, for example, that it is some elements from outside of Nigeria who are coming through our land borders with the sole objective of land grabbing. Help us situate exactly whether the governor understands from the way he speaks to these issues what exactly is going on.
Clearly, there's a gap in terms of situation on the ground and the reality of government response, like I have mentioned. And what the governor is saying is true. There are political elements that have interests in ensuring that this crisis does not abate. And we draw examples of this when you see that series and series of meetings, reconciliations, and peace pacts and agreements are discussed, and within a very short time, some of these same parties go and trigger a crisis, and the thing escalates all over. So for those who are practicing alternative dispute resolution, they know very well that it is easy to bring insurgents into the room and discuss peace, but the underlying intentions of some of these insurgents, because they are political and economic materialistic rewards to be made, it is not in their interest for this thing to abate. So between the politicians and those who have converted this insurgency into a big business, we find a collusion that shows very clearly that the governor and the government of Benue State really needs to dig deep and have a thorough understanding of the various dimensions. So, and of course, politicians and government officials, being what they are, they make allusion, they allude to all these things, but because they don't have the bare facts on their tips, they will never mention names. You will never hear that when they say politicians in Abuja. Who are the politicians in Abuja that you will not I cannot identify clearly and come out and challenge them to come and deny the fact that they are not doing what you claim that they are doing. Yes, foreigners and mercenaries and fighters from outside Nigeria have also been captured and killed in the combats. And these are mercenaries that have been invited to protect mineral sites. And for example, what is going on in Kwande is all about about precious minerals that are being mined illegally. What is happening in parts of Ukum are about galena and other precious minerals that are being mined. So in Apaga too, we know that mineral deposits are also in the fray. Same thing you're having in Niger State, same thing that you're having in Zamfara State. And all of these people bring mercenaries to come and help them protect their quote illegal investments and ensure that the locals are disrupted from their lands and a state of violence, so that all those zones are ungoverned spaces to enable them to do their business.
We'll jump right in shortly, but let me ask you this. There are people who say that, look, whatever happens, ultimately, the odds favor the possibility that a state of emergency will be declared in Benue, given the magnitude of killings that we are seeing. Of course, you are aware that on Sunday, the Pope, all the way from the Vatican, had to say a prayer for Benue State. I mean, that's how interesting it has gotten in recent times. What are your thoughts about the chance that a state of emergency could be declared in Benue State?
My thoughts are basically that anything that we need to do for these killings to stop, we must do. If the federal government of Nigeria, in its wisdom, believes that we have reached a situation whereby a state of emergency is to be declared so that we can stop these killings, I think the people of Benue State will welcome it wholeheartedly. It is not, a state of emergency triggers its own other interests. Will that solve the problem? If you ask me, I'll say I don't think that will solve the problem. But if on the short term it can reduce the killings and abate the crisis that we have in our state, good and fine. But the bigger picture, and I always come back to that, is that our political elite must have a sit down and a brutally frank conversation amongst themselves. Because at the core of this, crisis is the nexus between the political interest of some of our leaders, the mercenary interests of bandits and merchants who are trading in all manner of solid minerals, and in human beings that they traffic as slave laborers and organ harvesters that have all been in the field to create a state of anarchy in Benue State that is devastating the rest of our folks who just want to live their lives, go to their farms, harvest their products, and keep on moving.
Let me just ask one more question here now. Talking about David Mark, former senator, he said something about this particular killing can lead to self-defense. Do you think that is where the people of Benue State are now? Because they're not seeing the swift response of security agents when it comes to this particular menace in Benue State. Do you think they're going to resort to self-defense?
They are already doing so, my sister. They're already doing so. A lot of the communities are already coming together to protect and defend themselves. Because, like I said, even if the security agencies are willing to respond, some of the locations are so remote, some of the spaces are so ungoverned that if they don't close ranks to defend themselves, by the time help comes, a lot of lives have been lost. So they are already doing so. They're not waiting for government to tell them when to defend themselves. I mean, take as an individual, if somebody comes to your house to attack you, you will not pick the phone and start calling for police. Your first response is to defend yourself to the best of your ability.
Prof, we can't thank you enough for taking out time. I mean, it's a busy Tuesday morning for you, I suppose, but then here we are talking about the sad incidences down there in your beloved Benue state. But we keep an eye out and see how this pans out. Ultimately, we're also hoping that the visit scheduled for Wednesday by the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria will make a difference for the better going forward. We hope to talk to you again very soon.
Thank you very much, and have a good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
We'll be talking with Professor Yakubu Ochefu, who has been helping us shed light on some of the issues down there in Benue State. Well, we don't want to say it's an interesting development, but then it is what it is now. We're hoping that all of this will end real soon, so politics doesn't becloud our best judgments, yes, in this regard.
Very importantly, well said.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break at this point. Everyone, we have a second discussion coming up shortly, but this time we're going to be political. 2027 countdown has started, and we will let you in on that after this short break.